Hey punks, Chaotic here.
You got Figured here in the producer chair.
Welcome to Beyond the Pit, the show where we talk about music, life, and mental health issues directly with artists, experts, and survivors. Joining us for today's edition of Beyond the Pit, we got Terrell and Kris Ferris from Alibis. Figured, give them the rundown.
Hey punks, just a reminder, you can find all this and all of our Beyond the Pit interviews on the official RockMental YouTube channel. Also, you can find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Also, be sure to follow at RockMental Official on pretty much all of the social media platforms to get notified when the latest Beyond the Pit episode drops. Chaotic?
All right, let's get to it. If y'all remember, I featured LA-based Alibis in our very first episode of RockMental. Their songs Sellout and Dark Side are just two rockin' anthems that bring out a ton of raw emotion and dark imagery. Alibis is headed by Terrell, whose voice is unlike anything we hear right now in heavy metal. And with her is Kris on guitars. He adds so much depth and melody to on top of the crunching riffs that makes it a complete and epic sound. I'm so stoked to welcome Rainey and Kris to Beyond the Pit. Rainey and Kris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Cool. So you all were actually the very first band that I featured on RockMental on our premiere episode. So this is like really cool, kind of full circle moment for us here at Beyond the Pit.
Cool. That's awesome.
Awesome. So we talked about on the show, just how unique your guys' sound is. It's, it's hard to define. Not that we, try to put labels on anything, but it's so unique in that, it's more like almost like a classical composition in the way you arrange it, your songs than traditional metal or whatnot. Just talk about your music making process. Like, how do you start, and then how do you, incorporate all these chord progressions and harmonization, all these things? How does that start?
Okay, well, usually it starts by me. I kind of have to be alone, and I like to first kind of figure out what I'm gonna kind of want to write about, and also just I like to find personal aspects of myself that I would feel comfortable or maybe not feel comfortable writing about, and because I always feel like it's important to be vulnerable, but also, those hot topics kind of help the music also. So I like to be alone, and then I will mess around on the piano for a long time. I usually start with choruses, trying to work out something really cool with choruses that I think will be exhilarating or exciting, and then after that, I'll start trying to come up with melodies and a verse. So I try to write the chord progression and the melodies for at first all on the piano, and then after that, once I get a solid foundation, I feel of what I know, what I think will sound pretty good, I'll ask Kris, and he'll be like, "No, that's awful. No, just kidding." No, actually it's usually me that's I don't think that's very good, and then he'll be like, "No, that was great," or I'll show him. So and then Kris will listen to it, and he'll be like, hopefully it's, "Yeah, that's fucking cool," or whatever. And then after that, he'll come in and he'll start he usually comes and can hear melodies after he starts hearing what I have guitar wise. So he'll come in and listen, and then start recording guitar melodies. And he also, so he comes up with that, and he writes multiple lines of guitars, and he also will record the bass. He's also our secret bassist. Yes. And then we'll sit down and we'll program drums. We kind of go back and forth about it, and that's usually kind of the overall sound of the band, or at least the song, right?
It's the songwriting process,
yeah. Kris Yeah, so Kris does a lot. The songs sound excellent, when they're, they're piano versions, but obviously adding everything takes it to a next level. So after that, then we will after Kris gets done with his parts, then I will come back in and I'll write a million synth melodies.
Yeah.
And I will write I will do a lot of production on it and just try to make like cool elements of it, like adding impacts or different kind of sounds or whatnot, just to kind of like make the song actually be more than just like the guitar, bass, drums, and
really adding the cherry on top.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it completes the song, So and yeah, and then after that, we'll hopefully we'll play it, and then hopefully it gets produced, and and yeah, but that's kind of how it works right now.
Well, it's a little more than a cherry, right? You're like adding sprinkles and like
Oh,
cheesecake
yeah.
bites
So
and
much.
like
You got the fudge, you got
But
everything that goes with the peanuts, everything.
like the
Yeah.
froyo station, right? You're just adding everything in there.
Yeah. It takes it to another level. So it's like, I mean, yeah, the song definitely, I mean, it needs all of those elements to be, taken to that level, I feel,
Awesome. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I mean, you can hear it.
Oh, yeah.
You can hear it. It's just a lot of the complexities you would hear in like, a classical song or like, something very melodic, but then you got these counter melodies and counter melodies, and you got all these things going on. But what I like is like how you layer it, not just like, oh, you have like this cool guitar thing on top of the other guitar stuff. Like you're using the multiple instruments and multiple sounds to really contextualize. And one thing is cool is I noticed, at least I'm just music nerding out, by the way. It's not just the choruses, like a lot of times when you see songs or a lot of artists do that, they'll just do it for the chorus or just the bridge, and they'll leave like the verses like raw, but like, I mean, you're encapsulating everything. And so like, that's just awesome. From like note one, you're just like, what is this?
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, I mean, we just want to. Our goal always was just to like write great music, and I feel like putting like love into every aspect of it is like super important, and just it's also exciting as a songwriter to be able to be like, oh wow, like I topped myself this time, or I tried something more. So it's also like the growth within writing of like, okay, like I want to try something new and let me try, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's exciting because you're like, okay, like let me try this on this song. And so that's why it's a growth within the writing, and it comes out within the songs, obviously.
Rainey, I listened to a couple of interviews you've been before, and he talked about like your evolution from your your solo stuff and how you brought in members of the band. And you talked about when you first met Kris and started like collaborating. Kris, I kind of want to hear your side of the story. Like, how did that go for you?
So we met up, and we actually met through the app Vamper, if you're familiar with it. But it's basically like an app where musicians are able to connect with other musicians. That's where we first met, and she asked me, like, hey, are you looking for a band? And I've always wanted to work with a female artist, always. And right away, she sent me a few of her personal stuff, or her solo stuff, and really, as far as the auditioning goes, it's like it was a no-brainer. I mean, really, what I had to add to it was it's just blending in. Really, I didn't really have to stand out. I didn't have to like solo on top of it. Like I kind of understood the assignment, and then that's where it went from there. She told me a lot of the other guys that auditioned were really just trying to like, they just stood out too much, or they did too much, I guess maybe to sell themselves or something like that. But really, at the end of it, I felt anyway that, just blending in and just, doing just enough, that I had to. I didn't have to do any more or any less. It was perfect. And then, I got the gig, and then from there we just, dude, it's just brutal work, brutal hours. And then You know,
yeah.
it's still to this day. We're
still a lot of
constantly
hours.
constantly working.
It's a grind for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, totally.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's how you get it done, right? Just the hard work you put into it, the blood, sweat, and tears, right?
Yeah.
Zero procrastination, man, because it's every day you procrastinate, your goal is not just another day further away. You know, it's completely, it's, you know, it's how serious you take it, and we take this very seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you have
Yeah.
to sell, and just like in, you know, any art, right? Painting or sculpting, any kind of art, you got to push yourself, right?
Yeah.
Very
And
much so.
like stretch and like do all these things to get that perfect sound.
Yeah.
Yes.
I gotta tell you, from our end, from a fan perspective, it comes out. You can really hear the time and the
Yeah.
dedication that you put in. So it's very much comes through on the music.
We appreciate that. We're very tired.
Hopefully there's caffeine. Hopefully there's caffeine involved.
Lots of caffeine. Yes.
Cool. Yeah. So talk about like some of the other influences. You we talked like the metal and the rock, but like what other types of genres, other kind of music, or even other artists have influenced your sound? Not, just not in the, from the guitar perspective or from like the lyrical perspective. Like what were some of those influences like?
Well, I think between us, for the most part, we both kind of like the same thing, but for each of us that lack a certain part, metal wise, for Rainey or even with a more classical training that she has that I lack, we really complement each other, and the chemistry of the writing and everything it was so perfect. It was just so easy to write, and then yeah, I mean, we just had so much in common as far as musically. Like the dark side was, we kind of went into it with like a kind of a Bad Omens, like garbage, like we usually try to take multiple
garbage
sounds and like throw it in that way. You could hear a lot of like a lot of influence from like Queen and other band Muse, like in Sell Out,
Yeah, I love Muse.
Mm-hmm.
I'm obsessed with Muse, and I think. Like as far as like other influences, like I grew up with classical, so it's like Rachmaninoff and Debussy and Chopin, and like those are classical pianists, and and then I love pop music, so that's part of where the hookiness comes from, is also from listening to a lot of pop music growing up. And I mean, I loved Mariah Carey growing up. I thought Mariah Carey was amazing because she also was an opera singer, and and I know her mom is, but that was one. I love Janet Jackson. I loved, just like so many things, like pop music. I love No Doubt, and just a lot of that kind of genre. But I really love dark music. I did like dark music, but I also liked a lot of pop stuff too. So it's like this blending of like all of those genres of like classical and with rock. I mean I love Smashing Pumpkins and Deftones and all that, and then adding like a pop element to it, and so I think that like that style and the song structure of like writing catchy melodies is great when it comes to pop music. And if you can find a way to like implement something that is rememberable, if that's a word, or memorable, there we go, with melodies, and add something that's like cooler and darker and maybe more emotional, I think that is a winning ticket, at least my perspective, so I don't know. I really enjoy that. Yeah,
absolutely. But like what's cool though is that like and I think unfairly, right, in the like early 2000s, Evanescence comes out, right, and it was great. Amy Lee's awesome. They're doing these things, and then for whatever reason, whenever there's another even rock band that has a female lead, everyone's like, oh, it's just like Evanescence. No,
yeah, they always do that.
They always do that, right? And it's unfair. It's like
I feel like that even now.
We get that all the time. Oh, you sound like Amy Lee. Oh, you sound like Amy Lee.
Well, I do. Okay, to be fair, I will say that is a fair comparison vocally. Yes.
Well, they're kind of in the same
and
key,
also a lot of people have told me that Mother sounds a lot like Evanescence, so that's really cool too.
Yeah,
we take it as a compliment.
Oh,
We're not offended by it.
I would love to play with them. I
Yeah.
would love to tour with them. I think they're, and that was a big influence for me. But yeah, they do always try to compare if there's any woman, no matter what, it's Evanescence, even if it sounds nothing like it.
Yeah.
exactly. Like we don't do that.
Yeah.
Like when Creed came out, we're like, oh, Scott Stapp just sounds just like Scott Weiland, you know? Like
Yeah,
we don't do that with the dudes.
Better, it's just that lower voice, you know.
Yeah, you better. Yeah. We don't do that with the dudes. We probably should.
I think the reason people also do that, just really quickly, is also because it's just more unique to have a chick, and that's why they do the comparison, you know.
Yeah, but with you all, with Spirit Box, with like Ginger, with like all these awesome bands coming out, just really creating that unique sound, and say, you know, like, fuck you, we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah,
you know.
Totally. And yeah. That's what we want to do, you know. That's what we are doing. I feel, yeah.
I just love that it's with the more popularity that's coming with the female vocalists as far as like in metal.
Yeah,
I think it's just a big fu to like all these metal elitists that still kind of give them a backhanded compliments. They're like, oh, you know, I don't normally like female vocalists, but I like you. Like,
yeah, they say,
you know,
that
like,
too.
come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not making it better.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
And-
give credit where credit's due, man. Like fucking women fucking kill it in music too, man.
And I think there's also different ways of going about now with genres. Like look at Sleep Token. That's I guess that's metal, but it's also not, because it's pop, and
They
it's all these
incorporate a lot.
aspects.
They have
Is,
a huge,
you know, so I mean, yeah, like I just think there's different, I don't know, ways to express it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about some of those dark themes and some of those dark, imagery, like your songs have a lot of that, and then some, you know. Dark Side, you know, the music video there is just really intense. Damn Love, also, not, you know, just lyrically and, you know, actually visually in the music videos, you know, there's some intense things going on. Like, why is it important for you to add those, intense lyrics about suffering and loss and things like that? And what do you hope will bring out for listeners?
I think it's important to add those because, for me as an artist, it's important because I am someone who puts everything on the table. I'm not someone who holds back or hides things, as far as my art is concerned. There may be some personal things, super personal, but in general, I always try to lay it out on the table because I have learned, even like when I was a kid and growing up and even performing when I was a kid, I was very good at conveying very emotional things. And I find it very freeing to write about those things and then kind of put them out there, and I feel like, there's this weight off me when I'm able to do that. And I love how it feels to express it, to be honest. So I just know that I'm that type of artist. There's other bands where they're a little bit more surfacey and their songs are still catchy and cool and, whatever. But for me, I'm someone who I have to be very, open, honest. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, there's not a whole lot. There's no real message behind a lot of the music today.
Yeah.
Behind the lyrics and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, we really have something to say.
Yeah. Totally.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's something cathartic about that, right? Not just like performing.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. For us as creators, it is a catharsis, for us to have a way for us to put our art out there, and have it resonate with others.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people, I think, when they see someone who's like a metal fan or like, likes this really heavy, dark music, like they're thinking, oh my gosh, like what are they doing? And so I think it's kind of funny because it's like that's part of the release, right? Of these intense things. It's like I listen to this kind of music not because I'm angry, but because I want to get that anger out and channel it. And
it makes you feel something.
Exactly. I want to feel something. I don't want to feel like the shell of a person just walking around, you know, doing whatever. Like, it's this wanting this. I think it's a very human yearn to feel. Like, we got to feel this stuff, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And I think through music too, you know, like if you really relate to it, I also feel that you would feel that you're not alone in your struggles.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we talk about with mosh pit mentality, right? Like we very knowingly and very cheesingly, if that's a word, use the mosh pit as like an analogy for life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's loud, it's chaotic, it's unpredictable. But you know, people are just there crashing into either literally and figuratively, you know, and making connections. And so that's where especially at RockMental, we really try to create that community of people who enjoy rock music, you know, whatever flavor of rock they like. And to be able to use the music and community to talk about some of this real shit, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Speaking of community, you all recently had a gig at the Metal Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Yeah.
First off, like, holy crap, that's awesome. Talk about that experience. How did that come about? And like, how do you even like prepare for something like that?
Well, I mean, it was actually kind of serendipitous or just, I don't know if it was serendipitous or it was destiny or I have my own thoughts on it, but it was very fortunate that they are actually our new manager, Frankie James. He actually was reaching out to a friend, her name is Petra, to kind of find a couple. I think he needed one band, and it was for a different event. And so she found us actually through Cameron's page.
Our drummer's page.
I think he had like some story up about us or something, and she clicked on it and checked it out, and she was like, "Oh my god." And she sent us to Frankie, and when he checked it out, he was like, "Wait, what?" And so, and so he was like, "Wait, who is this band?" And so, we talked to him and whatnot, and we were first gonna do that show, but then he was like, no, I've got like after talking to him and him really checking us out, he's like, "I got something better." He was like, would you guys be open to playing the Metal Hall of Fame? And we were like, yeah, like absolutely, like totally. We were so excited about it, and that was actually, I mean, from just talking to us and whatnot, that was a big risk on Frankie's part because he had never seen us play before, but he thought that the music was amazing and the videos and gave us a shot, and we're and really put us in that situation. And so, we played, it was amazing. And, and then he came to us and he was like, "Hey, I want to manage you guys." Yeah. So that was really cool. And he's managed other bands before. And we love you, Frankie. Yes. And, he's helped us a lot. It's still very early, but we're very excited about this project and working with him and moving forward. So,
absolutely. Yeah, I had the opportunity of talking to Frankie a little bit, and cool. I think a good chunk of it was just fanboying over Dark Side, honestly. We're just like, "I love that song." Me too. It's so cool.
He's definitely a fan of that song.
Yeah, well. He's upset. He loves it. He always brings it up. He's like, "That song."
Absolutely. So like, okay, you're on stage, you're performing, you're looking out at the crowd. Like, who do you see?
You know what? I actually try not to look at people's face. So my thing, as growing up, I was in theater, and you're always supposed to kind of look over their heads. So because like, what if you see someone's reaction and then they're like, and you're like, "Oh my god!" Like, so I don't look at people's reaction. But actually, that night I did, only because we had a really good friend and someone that's actually helped our band out a lot and prior. Carrie was in the he was in the audience, and I did look at his reaction, and he was singing Dark Side too, and just like hell bent on it. And so I did kind of sneak a peek about the other people, but normally I don't do that. But they really liked it, so that was really cool. Yeah,
that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely look at everybody. I'm like,
you do?
Point at them because it's like it's intimate, you know. Like somebody's like, oh my god, you know, they pointed at me, like
yeah,
you know. It's little things like that. It's like makes somebody really happy.
Yeah.
You know, coming to see whether or not they become a fan of us at that point afterwards, or if they are there to see us. It really makes somebody's day when something like that happens.
Okay,
you know, when it's one of their favorite band members like, oh shit, dude, they point. And you got two friends like, no, they pointed at me. No, they pointed at me.
Yeah.
We go all out live, you know, so we like to add elements to, like, you know, add excitement to our shows. So, but yes, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it's a good point, right? Because, like, you know, there's bands that, you know, they call, oh, that's a studio band, you know, but live they're meh. Or like, oh, there's a live band, but once they get into a studio, they can't figure shit out. Like, right.
Yeah.
So, but like taking both approaches is super important. So, like,
yeah. You got to have both because people are there. And especially live, like they're there to see a show, you know?
Yeah.
So you got to give them a show, right?
Not only are we're very, you know, perfectionist as far as like, okay, the show has to go perfect, but our you know, how we perform on stage is very important to us as well.
Yeah.
You know, we have to put on a great show as you know, the music has to sound excellent as well, you know? So
the whole thing. Yeah, just the feeling of performing, even if there's like 4 people in the crowd, right? And one of them's your mom. It's like it still has that like really cool feeling. Like, do you guys still get that feeling when you perform?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, yeah. I absolutely love performing. So it is like my essence.
The ultimate high.
It's my essence. It's like what I live for. It is everything. So for me, I love it so much. It is it's huge for me. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very much so. I mean, my influences, you know, as far as my stage performer goes, is really a heavy influence with, you know, like Wes Borland and Angus Young.
I love Wes
Borland. I mean, they're anytime I've seen them live, I was just like, dude, like I have to do that. And I have so much, like I'm a pretty chill guy, you know, even before or after like the show, you'll see me, but once I get on that stage, man, I lose it.
Yeah.
I have to. I just have so much energy, and all the energy I'm feeding off of from the crowd, you know, I just have to go, man. It's, you know, that's just, it's such a high for me to see all the energy from the people getting off on our music, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. So like, okay, I follow you both on Instagram. I'm clicking on your stories. I see Kris, you're riffing in the studio, and Rainey, I see you like, you know, you're kind of teasing some stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, things going on. What's next? What's going on for Alibis? What do you guys have coming up?
Well, we've got new songs coming, and so we've been like diligently working on new tracks. So we have those coming, and we are also going to be touring this year, which, you know, we're such a new band that, you know, we're so excited with how fast everything's already kind of been moving with the trajectory. But yeah, we're going to be touring this year, and we haven't toured really officially yet. You know, we played a lot of shows, but just like haven't toured yet. We're a new band. So, but yeah, we're going to be touring in May. We're still working out those dates. And then in July, we're going to be going on tour with Crash Karma.
Oh, nice.
Which is exciting. Yeah, they're actually a metal duo, and they're really cool.
They're
like,
really cool, huh?
Yeah, super epic, really cool.
Great presence on stage.
Yeah, great, live show. They definitely put it on. And then
they're the ones who have those videos where like it looks like a car is crashing into her, and then like they turn the camera around.
Yeah,
those are so cool.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I don't even know how they do that. It's so nuts. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah, it's awesome. So, we're doing that. We've got like a month planned in September for another tour, and yeah, and we're going to be releasing all those dates shortly, and with who and stuff like that. But yeah, we're really excited. So we've been just really been focusing on new music and touring and getting us out there. So we're we're really excited.
That is what you got to do. That's what.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
So where can folks find you? Where can they find out where you're going to be playing? Where can they find your music? What's the best place to start?
Sure. To see where we're playing, bands in town. You can see where we're, like wherever. Obviously, we have a couple of shows right now listed, but on bands in town, you just type in our name, Alibis. Also find us on Instagram at instagram.com/Alibis official and
_official.
_official. Thank you.
On
Thank
everything.
you. Same with Facebook and Twitter. Or wait, X, sorry.
Whatever.
And our website, alibismusic.com. And we have new merch coming too, so that's really exciting. And YouTube, where you can see all of our epic videos. So YouTube, Alibis, I think Alibis official. Yeah.
I believe it's Alibis official too.
Yeah. Cool. So you can check all those out and see the videos and see. I feel like they're like super epic. So you definitely want to check those out.
Absolutely. Well, Kris, Rainey, thank you so much for joining us for Beyond the Pit. Thank you for what you're doing. And talking about the real stuff, bringing up all these things. Can't wait to see you guys, on tour. Hopefully, if you make your way to this part of Texas, just saying, you'll definitely have some fans in the crowd. But thank you for that. Thank you for joining us. Keep rocking. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you. Had a great time.
Thank you.
Now, we have links to all of Alibis' music and web pages on rockmental.com. Please give them a follow. Please follow them on Spotify. Show them some love, and make sure you go support them.
Like we mentioned before, you can find all this and all of our Beyond the Pit interviews on the official RockMental YouTube channel and on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Chaotic?
All right, thanks for joining us for today's edition of Beyond the Pit. Join us next time as we talk to another rockin' band that takes a very unique spin on thrash. I can't wait for you guys to meet them. We'll give you a heads up on social media, but only if you follow us at RockMental Official on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. All right, chaotic out.